Hey guys, welcome back to my channel where today we're going to be exposing the truth about how much senior year really costs. So if you've been following my channels the last couple of weeks, then you know that I've been talking about freshman year for both high school and college, and then your senior year and how to best be prepared for it. Well, today I'm going to expand that even further and talk about the cost of senior year and how to best be prepared for that. So if you don't know about how much all of this is gonna cost, then stick around for this video and let me just break that down for you. So the first thing I want to talk about is your yearbook. Now, usually you have to start paying for that earlier in the year, and that's because they want to make sure that they make it right with everything that you're going to pay for in it. So it can range anywhere between $30 and $150. $30 being for just having the actual yearbook, and that is just getting it with just your senior pictures in it and all the little things that you have so that people can sign it, whatever. But then if you want to do a little bit more, then you pay a little bit more, and that's where that $150 range comes in, because you can also get a page added in there dedicated to yourself, or half a page. I personally did a half a page, so I ended up having to pay, let's say, the $30 for the actual yearbook plus $80 to get my half a page. So I had to pay that up front. That way, when it was processed and everything was pushed through, by the end of the year, I had everything covered. That's why you have to pay that early. So you have to be prepared for what you want to do with your yearbook. For me, the reason why I got a half a page is because I wasn't really involved in any sports or anything like that. So outside of my senior picture, I honestly wouldn't have been mentioned anywhere else in the book. So I made sure that I had a little bit of extra something in there for me, and that's why I paid for the half a page. Just as a bonus, I decided to show the half a page that I paid for my yearbook. And this is what I got. For obvious reasons, I blurred out the year, but you get the picture. Also, to embarrass myself a little further, I figured I'd show my senior picture. Now, to be fair, the reason why I'm smiling like this is because I just got my braces in that year, my senior year. So I really didn't know how to hold my mouth yet. And I had to take a picture like literally the next day from getting them in. And I had like goop all in my mouth, and it was pretty bad. But I mean, I don't regret that picture. That's what I look like. The next thing I want to talk about are your senior pictures. Now, senior pictures can be pretty expensive. They can cost anywhere from $40 to $500. And that depends on like the poses you do, how many outfit changes you get, how many locations you take them in. All of those things factor in. And then after that, once you get your proofs and you decide what pictures you want, then you have to think about the price for how many wallet sizes do you get, how many 5x7s, 8x10s, all of these different sizes of photos, and all of the little trinkets or whatever that you get with your face on them. All that stuff adds up, and that's where you get into the $500 range. This is not even including the outfits that you're gonna buy to take the pictures, the makeup, your hair done, your nails done, all these things that you're gonna do outside of just taking the pictures, whether or not you want to get friends in the pictures. It's so much to consider when you're buying these pictures. If you're lucky and you kind of know somebody who can help you, then you might be able to get like the pictures emailed to you or whatever. However, they send you the proof, and then you can have somebody take their watermark off and duplicate those pictures for you. But that's your best case scenario if you know somebody who can help with that. If you don't, then chances are you're going to be paying out of pocket to these higher end companies that charge you a lot more than probably you need to be paying for these pictures. The next thing you're gonna want to start thinking about is test prep. And when I say test prep, I'm talking about the major tests that you need to take in order to get into the college of choice. So that includes the SAT, the ACT, the PSAT, and AP tests. Now, I don't hear as much about the PSAT as I do about the other three, so I don't know if that's still as popular as it used to be, but it all depends on which college that you choose. That's why I make it a point to tell you to pick your 5 colleges and do your research and to see what kind of information that they need from you, what test works better for their application process. So with the test prep, you're looking at a cost of $300 to $1,000, and this is just for the tutoring, if you will, for the test. The $300 to $1,000 range gets you the one-on-one tutors for the specific test in question. And that can be helpful for some people who don't do well with working in groups or can't use the free materials that are available by themselves. Now, for everyone else, there is free material. You can go to any library and they have like certain test prep classes. They might not be as in-depth and you don't get the one-on-one training, but they are helpful. Also, the books will kind of break down how the questions are asked and what kind of setting you need to do, what kind of information you want to know to be able to do the best on the test. That's helpful, especially if you have a couple people that come together in a group that train and teach each other. That can be a free method for you outside of paying for these courses. But if you want a certain type of connection with a tutor and just want to be able to ask these questions freely, then I would suggest investing in the test prep. Now, the actual test cost is going to range anywhere between $35 and $400. $400 is more for the AP test. And the reason why those cost so much is because if you pass them, you can skip over certain classes in your college year. And this can push you along further so that you can get out of your major quickly or out of school quickly. That's why they charge you more. It takes the place of an actual class that you don't have to worry about paying for. The other tests are going to be a little bit cheaper, but again, you don't want to have to keep taking them or pick the wrong test that's not necessary for your particular college. So make sure that you plan for these tests. Make sure you find the prep that works best for you so that you're not spending a whole lot of unnecessary money on taking them. You only really want to take whatever test you have to take one time only. Get the grades you need to get in the school you want. Now, since we're on the subject of college, let's talk about college applications. And college applications can cost anywhere from $75 to $200. $75 being the average cost for just like the public universities, $200 being about the basic cost for the private universities. So depending on how many schools you're applying to, you can spend anywhere from $200 to $600. Now, do you see why I say focus on your core 5 classes? That's a lot of money for you to possibly get a rejection or possibly get accepted. Honestly, at the end of the day, you are only going to go to one school. So you want to, of course, give yourself options just so that if somebody that you do choose says no, you still have a couple other options. But you don't want to overdo it. You do not want to pay for 10 or 15 college applications when you can only go to one school. So really plan that out because nobody wants to spend thousands of dollars on college application fees. Still on the subject of college, let's talk about those college tours. Now, also in one of my videos, the one that focused on freshman year, I talked about taking those college tours so you can know the lay of the land. Well, I'm going to talk about how you can go about taking the different tours. There are such things as the Black College Tour and other tours that are a little bit more in depth where you actually get to stay on dorm and get the full-fledged college experience before you actually go. Well, those tours are going to cost money. For example, the Black College Tour can cost anywhere from $1,500 to I don't even know how much, depending on how long you're going to be out there. So you have to be prepared for a tour like that. And that's because you're going to hit a couple different colleges. You got to pay for the gas on the bus, the trip itself, the room and accommodations, the food, all of that stuff. So that's why it gets a little pricier. Now, of course, you can take smaller tours on your own where you're just like visiting the college for a day, or maybe you go with a parent or a group of friends and you go and visit the college and you guys rent a room versus doing everything through an organization that's going to charge you maybe a little bit more. But either way, you're looking at spending a good amount of money. So plan for those tours because you want to take them so that you know the lay of the land. You do not want to be lost your first day of school. Now let's talk about senior trips and events, because there will be a lot of them. There will be a countless number of events, anywhere from smaller tours that you take with a class or senior fundraisers, parties. There's just, I can't even think of all the things that you're going to be doing senior year. So just be prepared for amounts of money that you're going to spend on that. Then you have your senior trip, which is spring break. And spring break is expensive. Okay, so just thinking about the events and spring break, you can spend anywhere from $40 to $4,000, with the trip being the most expensive thing. Senior trip or spring break is going to cost you anywhere between $2,500 to $4,000 alone. That's because you have to factor in the cost of the flight, the room and accommodations, the food you're going to eat, all of this stuff. Usually it lasts about a week, so that's a week of just everything. That's not even including the money you want to be able to spend when you're out there. That doesn't include the clothes and everything that you're going to buy just to go there. Your hair done, your new shoes, all of this stuff is expensive. So you need to be prepared for your senior trip because it does cost you a good amount of money. Now, with the events and everything, there are going to be some that you're going to miss. Of course, you're not going to be able to go to everything, but definitely plan to try to be at something because it makes the final year that much more exciting. Now let's talk about prom. Prom can be expensive. As I kind of mentioned earlier in last week's video, I talked about being realistic when you make your choices for your prom dress and just things like that, because it can, the price gets up there. So when you consider the prom dress, the car, the room, the parties, the food afterwards, the tickets, all of that stuff, you're looking somewhere between $500 to $3,000. That depends on how much you just plan on spending. Like I said, those beautiful, long, elaborate dresses are amazing on your Instagram, but they are not practical and they cost a lot, especially when you're considering you might only wear that dress one time. And it's harder to sell or give away your prom dress because after you get it sized and fitted, it really only works for you, and not everybody can just fit in that. You really have to search for somebody who can fit in the same dress as you. For me, my dress was like a -0 or something like that. Like I was really little in high school, and I couldn't give that dress away because nobody I knew could even think about fitting in it. So I was fortunate enough where I got to wear my dress twice, but I was smart about how much I was willing to pay for that dress because it is too much money to spend just to wear one time. That's just thinking about the dress. For guys, it's a little cheaper because they don't have to worry so much about the clothing. They rent their tux. The biggest expenses for them are going to probably be their shoes and room and, you know, car or limo or whatever. But with women, we got our hair, our nails, our makeup, our shoes, our accessories, just everything. And that's just not including if you don't have a date. If you don't have a date and you're going with a group of girls or something like that, then you also have to pay for your limo and just all these other little moving parts. And then with the limo or the car, well, I know with the limo, they charge by the hour. With the car, you can get it for a whole day, but you want to be smart about what you get because a lot of us want luxurious cars. Like, you don't want to go to prom in a Hyundai. You want a nice big SUV or whatever, and those cost more money. So just know that prom is really expensive. So now let's get into your graduation costs. And that's your cap and gown, your ring, like the frame for your diploma, all this little stuff that you're gonna buy, these trinkets to help you remember your senior year. They of course cost money, anywhere from $50 to $1,000. With your class ring, you can get them like really cheap. I've seen people who've gotten class rings for like $100, but it all depends on what you put on your class ring. If you want to get diamonds around it, or you want to get like a big birthstone and just all these things on the side engraved, and something engraved in the front or the side, or it's just so much stuff that they give you that you could do with your class ring. All that stuff costs extra money, of course, and that's where you can go from something as small as $50 to something as big as like $200-300 for a class ring. Then you have, like I said, the plaques for your diploma, or picture frames for your school year, and you can put your senior picture in there. All of that stuff. I got a teddy bear and a Mickey Mouse doll that had like the cap and gown and everything on it, and that costs money. So it is expensive if you want to just get all these little trinkets and all that to remember your school year. Cap and gown really doesn't cost that much. It's probably going to be about $40-50 for your cap and gown. Like I said before, I only got to keep my cap and my tassel. The gown I did have to give back. When you combine all those costs together, you're looking at about $5,300 for your senior year alone, and that's on the lower end of the spectrum. So to get that number, I took all the cheaper prices of everything I listed and I came up with $5,300. So imagine if you fall somewhere in the middle, or if you get the more expensive things, then you're looking at more like $10,000 for your senior year. This is why I stress it's important to get a part-time job, especially if your parents don't have the money to basically knock those things out for you, or they don't want to give you the money to knock those things out for you. Nobody really broke down these costs for me, so there were a couple things that I did have to miss. Some of these senior events, I did miss spring break, and I wasn't able to do any of the college tours, the bigger college tours, and I really wish I had been a part of that. And I would suggest that you try your best to be a part of that as well, because those are memories I can't get back, and I wish that I had been more active in that aspect of it. But I did get a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do. I did buy, like I said, a couple of trinkets. I got my class ring. I bought a half a page in the yearbook. But I mean, you design the kind of senior year that you want to have. And now that you know the cost, plan around that early, so that way you know exactly what kind of year you're gonna have. Also, make sure you get your stuff early, because you don't want to last minute shop. That's when prices actually do go up. For me, I waited to the last minute to get my limo, and I waited to the last minute to start the process on my dress, and that ended up costing me a little bit more because everything had to be rushed. If I had it started earlier in the semester or earlier in the year with, let's say, my prom dress, then I could have got everything sized and resized and changed and everything within a certain time frame. I wouldn't have to have them hurry up and get it done in a day. And when you do stuff like that, you have to pay more. The same thing with the limo. I was not really satisfied with the limo that we got, but it was a last minute choice, and we didn't have enough time to shop around and get a limo that we were in love with. So that's why I say start early, plan it, get it going, so that you can have the senior year that you want. Also, I did spend a little bit more money than I needed to on college applications. Actually, I spent a little bit more money than I needed to on college, which is why my next video is going to be talking about community college and what are the perks of choosing that over a 4-year university. So if you want to see that video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you're notified when I post that video. Also, make sure to check out my last 2 videos, which are freshman advice for high school and college, and senior advice for your last year, because all of this stuff is going to tie together and it's going to make for a better overall experience. Thank you so much for joining me, and I cannot wait to see you guys next week. Bye.